Hello, everybody. It's lovely to be able to speak at the WBC again. Last time I did this was 2016. Gosh, it feels like a world away, doesn't it, with COVID and everything else? Well, my name is Dave Collins, and I'm doing a presentation today with my co-author, Carmel Lindkvist. And we're talking today about FM and blockchains. So specifically, the paper is called Block by Block, Potential and Challenges of the Blockchain in the Context of Facilities Management. And hopefully, over the course of the next 10 minutes, I can enlighten you a little bit on what we've been doing and maybe give you some ideas about the future. Who knows? So a little overview. So the impact of digitalization in the field of FM is fundamentally changing the way that we conduct FM day to day. And of course, that starts with computer-aided FM and moves onwards. Digital twins are another example of an emerging technology. It means we have to completely rethink a lot of the things that we associate with the way we practice facilities management. And the blockchain is one of those emerging technologies, and it has the potential to bring the value from 2D information storage to something more intuitive and something a lot more valuable and maybe even more reliable. And this has the potential to completely change service management, contracting, green leasing, and other things that are associated with facilities management. And it's the kind of the impact digitalization is having on it. So for our paper, we have two express aims. And firstly, it's to look into the potential of the blockchain to contribute to the efficiency, security, and sustainability of FM. And secondly, it's to examine the challenges associated with blockchains in the FM field. So that kind of naturally leads into our two research questions that effectively represent those aims. So in what ways can blockchain technology be applied to facilities management? And what are the challenges associated with blockchain technology in the context of applying it to FM and things like green leasing? So I'm hoping that we can adequately, as is the case with a paper of this kind, we're not going to come up with the perfect answers and all the solutions, but we can have a go at leading us along the path. So how did we do this paper? So this is primarily a literature paper, and we use Google Scholar and Scopus to achieve this, with FM and blockchain and distributed ledger and facilities management blockchain being the primary keywords. Of course, those were massively truncated and cut down for the sake of having a manageable amount to read. And so that's the data that we have for this paper. So first of all, I want to talk a little bit about what is a blockchain. So I know that many people in the room here today know what it is. Some may know nothing, and some people may just think, oh, Bitcoin, which of course is maybe the most well-known use of the term blockchain. But blockchain is sometimes known as a distributed ledger or distributed ledger technology, which is actually, I think, a far better explanation of what the term means than using the word blockchain. And I will be using the word DLT over the course of this presentation, and sometimes interchangeably with blockchain. So the blockchain is effectively a big open ledger that is shared by lots and lots of computers. And it's not considered the most sustainable of ways to store data because of all the computers that have to run to store it. And you can see the figure there in the bottom part of this slide is quite scary. So more specifically, a blockchain is a ledger of information that is shared by lots and lots of different computers. And in order to make a change in one of those, in order to make a change in that ledger, every single version of that ledger has to be changed along with it. So all of these thousands and millions of computers have to have the same change made to them, which makes changing them almost impossible, except for certain circumstances. It makes it almost completely unhackable. And it's why that data stored on blockchains is considered to be fairly reliable. And you can store anything on blockchains, from names, addresses, transactions, even more recent technology allowing you to store images, so-called NFTs, or have NFTs associated with them. And the uses of blockchains are likely only to increase as time goes on. So we've created this small, very simple model to kind of explain how we feel that the blockchain can become a part of facilities management by linking smart contracts and documentation and having them as a part of the blockchain, which could then result in having utility for tenants, for FM service providers, and for building owners. And hopefully we'll be able to explain some of those to you over the course of the next 5 minutes or so. So in terms of what we found out from our literature review, we found out that blockchains represent a significant potential to be used as a scheduler for a variety of functions. So certain blockchains, such as Ethereum, have something in them called a smart contract that means it has an action that is repeated constantly due to information that's on the blockchain. So this kind of information could result, an example, in every 5 years triggering remedial maintenance or the refurbishment of a HVAC system, or the criteria needed to recertify a BREEAM certification, for example. It can also, at its most basic level, be used as a scheduler for cleaning and for maintenance. And the wonderful thing about a blockchain is that everybody has access to it. As I said earlier, it's an open ledger. It's not closed. So building managers can see it, service providers can see it, the government can potentially see it. So the information that says that now we have to schedule maintenance could be shared with everybody. And it also could share a variety of other metrics. It can trigger when you're hitting an energy cap, for example. And this is information that's easily available to everybody that needs it. So in terms of using the blockchain as a contract manager, a lawyer, and enforcer, smart contracts in blockchains and DLTs naturally lead towards contract-like processes. And it also means that you're not at the mercy of the whim of a human stakeholder, because this information can't be mentioned. So you're not at the mercy of a stingy landlord or a tenant that refuses to pay, because the money, for example, in a lease would be drawn out automatically. It could mean that energy caps could be enforced. So, for example, the contract could state that if an energy cap is hit, it triggers a fine. And that's done entirely by the computer, entirely by the ledger, and not by the people that hold the keys to the kingdom. It means that human intervention is not needed, and in principle, it's impossible to alter it, so it can be reliable. So the openness of this ledger has lots and lots of possibilities for utility, and I've only mentioned a couple of very brief things because we haven't got a lot of time. But as I've said, the explosion of the possibilities for blockchains and DLTs have been huge in the past couple of years, and will only continue to expand in terms of what you can store on them. And it's up to the facilities management industry to see if they feel that there's enough potential there for them to utilize it themselves. And accurate levels of information stored in one place could be of immense value in terms of contract enforcement, ensuring maintenance is carried out, even storage of documentation, as well as the enforcement possibilities of these things for facilities management. There's, of course, challenges associated with this as well. Any digital technology in this day and age, you hear discussions about the challenges associated with data reliability, and blockchains are no different. Although the information cannot be altered, the information is only in the blockchain is only as valuable as how accurate it is when it is entered. So that initial phase of inserting information in a blockchain, there has to be quality control there, because if that is incorrect, then that destroys the viability and credibility of all the information within it. So if that data is not reliable, it can result, for example, in significant problems for smart contracts. It can result in asymmetric relationships between the stakeholders that could benefit from a well-designed smart contract, and various things like this. So that's just a very brief overview. There's a bit more in the paper, but as I said, I don't want to keep you too long. So just to conclude here, a DLT is an emerging technology, and it's only just the beginning of what we're only just at the beginning of what we'll be able to do with this. And whilst its openness allows for multi-stakeholder access, the lack of reliability of the human element is the mitigating factor that we have to deal with. So it puts at risk the unreliability of the databases. But hopefully, if we can be a little bit better at controlling the human element and ensuring good data reliability, and maybe even find computerized elements that can control that as well, maybe we can have not just better blockchains and DLTs for the facilities management industry, but maybe for others as well. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for listening, and I wish you a very successful rest of your conference. So goodbye from Norway.